You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
These are the voyages where all good things remind us of what we left behind, like life itself. And for no good reason, Turnabout Intruder. It's Monday, it's 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, and there you are, and here we are, and that can only mean it's time for Mission Log Live. I'm John Champion.
And I'm Holly Amos. Tonight it's time to discuss the season finale of Star Trek Discovery Life Itself. So click on the Zoom link or give us a call at 669-900-6833 because we want to hear from you, especially now. Earl is here patiently holding down the Earl Green Room, so why not make his night and give him a call? You guys can click on the Zoom link or call us at 669-900-6833.
Yes, and while you are meeting Earl, we would like to meet you in the chat. I'm just going to take a look right at the top. There's Bob Amos out of the gate.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. I talked to my mom
Holly's dad.
like 10 minutes ago, so hi, Mom.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm seeing at least two Daves in there. There's Scott Palm. Pleasure to see you. There's Mark. There's Dr. Nunny. There's Jim. There's Scott. Let's see. There's Matthew. Matthew, who does our Trektivism podcast along with Heather. There is Mark. Oh, and I love this over on YouTube. Sentai Ranger Donnie to Roddenberry Entertainment saying, hello, John and all, and happy Pride Month. Hope everyone's weekend was well despite the passing of a Super Sentai actress. Also, a happy Superman month. It's Superman month?
Oh, we were just talking about Superman.
We were just talking about Superman for reasons that might become apparent in our conversation tonight. There's Jane, and let's see here. There's Alan, who I'm sure that we'll hear from a little bit in the show. There's Carlos. There's BC with an Alamarain.
It's never not funny.
But at least he says Alamarain, y'all, which is,
okay.
I think, almost as good as a Kuchimoya, y'all. There's Paul, and we might have another Paul join us. But Tracy Coco. Hi, Tracy. Hi, back to you. So excellent. Glad to see you all here. And like Holly said, all you have to do is click on the Zoom link or call us at 669-900-6833. And while you're doing that, while you're getting ready, Holly is going to tell you what's coming up on Roddenberry Podcasts this week.
Yeah. This week on Mission Log, don't miss the discussion about Star Trek Voyager Infinite Regress.
Mission Log, that episode quite a bit, yes. Yeah.
Listen, let's talk about Jerry Ryan. She's fantastic in it.
So good.
Mission Log, the Orville, is still on shore leave with Talking Ted.
And genealogy. Third episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know how many episodes we're going to have?
7 episodes of the show, 8 episodes at least of the podcast, because they had a special intro with Seth MacFarlane, and then we'll see if they do a follow-up after that.
Fantastic.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then Genealogy is currently on hiatus, but they will be back soon. You can follow all podcasts at podcast.roddenberry.com, and make sure to also like and subscribe to our content on youtube.com/Roddenberry Entertainment, like the video you're watching right now.
Just like this video right now. Yeah. All right. So things are going to be a little bit different tonight. We've had some schedule changes, mix-ups, etc. And I am thrilled and excited, waiting with bated breath, because our very own Holly Amos has written the recap tonight.
Oh, God.
We'll read it. I get to be surprised now the way that you get to be surprised at my recaps. So I'm thrilled about that. And just a quick word before you get into it. Can't wait. Everybody who calls in tonight, we are planning to do a follow-up show next week with a series wrap-up and or a season wrap-up, maybe in the same show, maybe in another show. So we will definitely keep the comments tonight to the episode, and we'll see where that leads us. All right, Holly.
Okay, guys, I'm not a concise writer. I have a lot to say, so here we go. Inside the portal, Michael awakes in a tunnel consisting of a walkway, a bright light, and windows depicting other worlds. She attempts without success to contact Discovery, saying she's going to go towards the light where there's a strong energy reading. En route, Michael comes into contact with some sort of distortion in the air, which throws her into a rainy, windy, rock-covered place below the walkway. One of the Breen is there dead. Michael spots the window she fell through above her as the second Breen suddenly attacks her. They tussle before hurricane winds kick in, and she's able to knock him away from her with the wind pushing him into an abyss. Michael then uses the hurricane wind to launch herself up and out and back onto the walkway. Another Breen threatens, but is quickly taken out by Maul. After some negotiating, they agree to work together to obtain the tech. Meanwhile, Discovery is being attacked by Breen fighters. Tahal is set to arrive in an hour, so they have to get to the portal and recover Michael and the tech by then. Back at headquarters, Vance discusses the situation with Saru, who has volunteered to go negotiate with Tahal to get her to turn her army around. Nan then volunteers to pilot the shuttlecraft. Back in the portal, Michael and Maul further discuss their separate interests in the tech, leading Michael to try and render her incapacitated. They fight each other amongst weird gravity and random worlds that the windows lead into. Eventually, Michael realizes neither will stand down, so they agree to work together again after Michael gives Maul her word to help bring Locke back. But first, Michael demands Maul give up her weapons and the pattern buffer she's wearing on her arm. But that reveals that Locke is actually being held there. The Discovery continues to fight off the Breen. They devise a plan for Book to take a shuttle to recover the tech and Michael from the porter, with Colbert volunteering last minute to go along, unknown for reasons that he just seems to feel. And for Discovery to take out the Breen fighters by flying into an adjacent plasma field and igniting it. Saru and Nan approach Tahal and hail her. Saru tries to convince her that continuing on would start a war with the Federation, but Tahal is curious as to why the Federation has a vested interest in the area, leading her to believe that something must be important. Saru then offers a trade route that only she would have access to as a trade to reverse her course. Tahal declines, but also confirms a vital piece of information about the location of her own bases. Michael and Maul are in a field of flowers now, and Michael realizes that they're standing on the tech, with a center disk in front of them being the access point. They approach, and the disk responds with an interface giving them 9 triangle puzzle pieces. Build the shape of the one between the many is the phrase Michael has in her back pocket, and the two attempt to figure out the riddle. Michael suddenly becomes distracted by distorted communications from Book. Maul bludgeons her, pulls Locke out of the pattern buffer, moves the triangles into a larger triangle shape, and attempts to access the tech. But something's clearly gone wrong, and Book and Discovery can now see the tech affecting their own gravity. Discovery takes out the Breen fighters, and now the Dreadnought is operating again and on a direct path to the tech. Discovery plans to intercept while Book locks the tractor beam onto the portal. The tractor beam fails to lock until Hugh suggests sinking the beam to the portal's subspace frequency, which he just also happens to feel. Yeah. He later reveals, though, that it's from a memory of Janal's. It works, but they can only hold on and wait for Discovery to arrive. Saru continues to try to negotiate with Tahal by threatening to have the bases that she accidentally confirmed taken out by allies. Tahal finally gives in and changes course. Saru and Nan drop out of warp and cloak to continue monitoring the situation. Michael comes to, hearing Book's distorted comms and the gravitational chaos outside. She rips Maul away from the tech, rearranges the triangles around a large empty triangle space, and accesses the tech. She finds herself face to face with one of the progenitors, who wants to train her on how to use the tech. Michael stops her, asking if there's any way that they can stop the gravitational distortions that are affecting those on the outside. The tech is simply gathering power to create new life, she says. Michael asks about bringing people back to life, which the progenitor says can be done, but without their memories. They further discuss the uses and potential danger of the tech, and Michael is told that all the worlds she saw in the tunnel were found, not created by the progenitors. So who created the creators? The Discovery is only a few minutes out from the portal as Saru informs them that Tahal has reversed course, but sent a scout in her stead. Realize they can't do everything at once. The crew devises a plan to separate Discovery into 2 pieces and attempt to jump the Breen Dreadnought to the galactic barrier. Saru decloaks to draw the attention of the scout. Much technobabble later, the Dreadnought is jumped away. The progenitor challenges Michael by being Asks what is most meaningful to her, which she says she cannot think about while her friends are in danger. The progenitor lets her leave in hopes that she will choose to return and continue her training. She revives Maul, tells her they can't bring Locke back. Womp, womp. And beams to Booker's shuttle. The shuttle returns to Discovery as the tech is also pulled into a shuttle bay. In her ready room, Michael tells the crew about her experience, concluding that they don't need this tech anymore because they already have IDIC, and it's too powerful for anyone to have. She convinces the bosses back at headquarters about this too, and the tech gets launched into the event horizon of one of the black holes. In a later meeting with Kovich, Michael discovers that he plans to use Maul, and that he's actually Agent Daniels. At Tarina and Saru's wedding, the crew celebrates and playfully banters with one another. Another Book arrives late and takes Michael on a walk where they both confess that they still love each other. Many years later, on Sanctuary 4, an older Michael and Book tease each other over coffee. Michael alludes to needing to do something later that day alone. A shuttle arrives to pick her up, and it's their son, Leto, who is about to take his first command and insisted on taking his mother to her last mission with Discovery. Michael takes the ship, which has been returned to its original configuration, into deep space. She tells Zora that the mission is a red directive having something to do with craft, and she'll be out in deep space alone until whatever craft is comes along. The end.
Bravo.
It's not concise, but a lot happened.
Done.
Okay.
A lot happened. You're definitely getting a lot of kudos in the chat. A lot of people love your recap. So way to go. By the way, wait a minute. Oh, shoot. I don't want to miss it because one of my favorite comments just came through. Jim says, when Michael met the progenitor, I really wanted a Jeffrey Combs cameo in that scene. I think that would have been absolutely perfect.
I did love the makeup.
Yeah, it was cool.
I felt they stayed really true to the original while doing a good enough job for high definition.
Yeah, agreed, totally. Paul Wright says that they looked great as an older couple. I mean, of course, they looked fantastic, you know. And then Jim saying you did an amazing job, Holly. David, good one. Awesome job from Mark. So a lot of kudos. Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
Well done. Brandon says, is it even Star Trek without Jeffrey Combs? I think that's...
that's up to you.
Yeah, I guess it is. Oh, and then Mark says, what makes him think it isn't Jeffrey Combs under that makeup? He's that good. All right. Well, a lot to say about this episode tonight. A lot of callers lined up, too. I cannot wait to hear from everyone. So let's get right into it with Chris. How's it going tonight, Chris?
Hey, doing good, guys. Yes, great job again, Holly. And I can confirm we had a full Hollywood Squares in the green room. So it's popping tonight. Absolutely.
Excellent.
But I really like this. I thought, given the fact that they didn't know this was going to be their last episode, it still works very, very well. Obviously, you have the 15, 20 minutes at the end that are redone. But even if it had ended at that pan up on the beach, I think I would have been satisfied. Like, it hits all the beats that I want it to. It has a really good message about, this is overly reductive, but live in the moment, essentially, is what Burnham learns. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought they did a really good job, especially in the less than ideal situation they got themselves in.
Man, see, this is why I love doing the show, because you and the rest of the audience do the hard work, which is saying things better than I will say them, as you just did. Because I too loved the way that the main story, the A plot, wrapped up. I loved the message in there. It just felt very Star Trek to me. And I also would have been perfectly happy if we would have just ended there with Book and Michael. My imagination can just kind of run wild with what then happens to these people, and that would have been absolutely fine. I guess it was kind of cool to see Discovery in the future, and get some little hints about that, but I didn't need it, you know? It felt a little out of place for me, maybe. What else? Holly, do you agree, disagree?
I felt like the end 20 minutes, I mean, obviously, given the circumstances, I imagine it would feel a little bit disjointed. but I do feel like it was sort of lacking some substance from the standpoint of like, I could explain what happened in 3 sentences in the last 20 minutes.
Right.
So, and it was very, touchy feely and a nice moment with the new character that was introduced, which is their son. But, and it gives a good wrap up to the ship and Calypso and alluding back to that. But it was a lot of fluff.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the question for me is like, why do I need more information about Calypso? Like, of all the things that happen in Discovery all these years, that was a cool short trek.
Because if they didn't give it, that would be a major discussion amongst the fandom for years to come at every convention forever until the end of time.
Good. Then let it be that. I mean, that's awesome. That's exactly the kind of things that fans should be entrusted to just talk about forever and ever. But I didn't feel like I needed a 20-minute thing to justify that. Like we were talking before the show, we still have no more of Grudge, and I'm much more concerned about Grudge.
Where did the cat go?
Exactly. Paul Wright disagreeing with me. I was happy to see the Calypso retcons. So there we go. Other people.
I do love a retcon. I love a retcon. I also freaked out when he was like, "Oh, I'm Agent Daniels." I was like, I loved that. I love that. I think we've talked about that before. Like, what if he's Agent Daniels?
Retcon this for me, if you would. Why retrofit Discovery? Discovery comes forward in the future at 800 years. They give it all this stuff. They put A on it for no good reason. And then
because it's the original configuration in that episode in Calypso.
Because if they didn't match it, then they would also be discussions
forever until the end of time, John.
Right, come on.
Yes, exactly. There's no good reason for that. And I see Shar agreeing with me. We were robbed of more Grudge. Yes, agree. Jane saying the Agent Daniels reveal was the best as far as I'm concerned. Yes, totally agree. Nani saying new series, Star Trek Grudge. I think there's a lot of people who would agree with that. Chris, so many callers tonight. Do you have any other thought here before we jump over to Brandon?
Yeah, I just say I really, really love, I guess it's the now 33rd century Delta, the new kind of like overly Delta from the Flash Forward.
Yeah,
that is slick. I want one of those immediately. Like, I wish that was the Delta we had been running with for season 3 through 5. It's really good. But yeah, Delta's really good. Like Paul already said, the old makeup on Michael and Book, also really good. But the Delta.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Agree there. And take care, Chris. And we will see you again.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Take care. Let's jump over to Brandon.
Brandon Sen's child.
Yes, the Captain Sprague is not with me. Not today. He's a little too squeaky for the show.
Oh, squeaky child. All right. Well, what's on your mind tonight about the show?
Well, I think it was actually really good for you guys just to be talking about how sort of the reminder this was not actually meant to wrap up the series in general initially, because that was not running through my head as I was watching the episode. And it's some important context, I think, to look at it through. But I loved Action Saru. And like looking back, I'm like, can I retroactively order more Action Saru to be just inserted into other episodes? Because that was great. And
not just Action Saru, but this like focused, almost manipulative Saru. Like everything about that scene was great.
It really was. You know, it reminded me of the scene in Into Darkness when Sulu just has his total awesome. Like
it reminded me of that too.
Yeah.
Even the comment afterwards, Nan says she said something that's really similar to what Bone says to Sulu. Like, I'm never going to challenge you.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I think at the other end of the spectrum now, especially through this episode, the last couple episodes, I haven't been able to buy Maul. Her whole double cross of Michael and I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm like, oh, so now you're kind of an idiot. Like, this is the woman who kind of probably has some information that you need, and you just said, I don't know what to do, but I'm just going to do stuff. I know there's a cairn over there for this dead guy who tried to just wing it before, but I'm just gonna do this triangle puzzle.
I mean, it reeks of desperation, but then I feel like her
Yeah.
reaction to finding out that he can't be brought back in the way that she wants him to was like, we didn't pause on that moment at all. It was just like, there's
No.
nothing here for us. And then like we didn't even get to see her reaction. I
That's
feel
one of
like
my-
there's going to be fallout to her finding that out, and we didn't get to witness it.
That was one of my notes here is what happened to Maul other than just being rattled by her experience. So we see her there looking like Edgar Winter playing the triangles on the on the tech, right? And like there's energy shooting through her, and that's really cool. And then she gets knocked away by Michael, but I wanted to be there to be something like some acknowledgement, some recognition that maybe she was getting a download. Maybe she understands something now about the nature of life and what the progenitor had to explain to Michael about, well, you can do a clone, you can bring back to life, but the memories won't be there, whatever. Otherwise, it was just, okay, fighting, a lot of fighting at the top of this episode.
Also,
and then time to go.
About the fighting, though, Michael has the audacity to pick a fight with her and then be like, why aren't you giving up? Bro, you started it.
Yeah, exactly.
She was like, stand down. And I was like, you started the fight,
you can't
my
say
dear.
that.
Like, come on.
Right.
God.
Yeah. What else, Brandon?
Well, so one of the things that I felt like we really spent, it felt like it was meant to be a really big, like a big decision, a big reveal. Like, we're not going to use this technology. And I was like, well, yeah, like at any point when you were thinking, oh, this technology like creates new life, were you thinking, hey, the Federation would totally just like spontaneously create some life? Because that's what we're all about. As soon as we found out that it's not going to bring Locke back, there's no value for the Federation to have this. And yeah, kip that thing right on into a black hole. That's a great idea because no good can come of it.
Paging Dr. Marcus, paging Dr. Carol Marcus.
Exactly.
So we have experimented with this kind of thing before, and we know that it's not a great idea. I for one, was very satisfied with that ending. Maybe we saw it coming. Maybe we knew that we couldn't just say like, and now we discovered the secret to life, so we'll keep it and we'll make more. There had to be some way that we don't end up with it, whether accidentally or intentionally, whatever. But I thought A, the justification was good, and I thought B, the discussion about it was good. Because it did absolutely just lead right into that moral meaning message. And I know that if John Arminio is listening tonight, he would probably agree with my assessment that not only did they show us, but they also told us, and that's a little annoying.
Yeah.
But at least we got there, Any other thought tonight, Brandon, before we move along to our next caller?
I mean, I'll just leave you with thinking that, it is such a good thing that that the way that you prove your worthiness to handle the power of life itself is a geometry puzzle, and that Michael was good at geometry.
Yeah.
That is very fortunate because I would not have qualified.
That's all it took.
Well, I don't know. I'm going home.
Well, do we have a word puzzle that I could do instead?
Oh, yeah. You have to do New York Times connections.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, wait, what I was, like in third grade, what did they call them? Tangrams? Was that
Yes.
the thing where you put together?
Yeah.
That was it. It all comes down to that. Yeah, and Mark says it was 2D geometry at that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And Earl saying it was space captcha, which, by the way, took both of us, just frustrated the hell out of us tonight trying to get into our own chat. But here we are. We made it. Joe says that reveal of who Cronenberg was, man, what? Daniels.
It's
Daniels.
Daniels. We discussed that. It would be awesome if it would be Daniels, and I was very satisfied with that.
To me, he is still President Dr. David Cronenberg, but and Admiral, I guess, because everybody gets an Admiral. So he is Admiral President Dr. David Cronenberg, but he's Daniels. He's had all of those roles. All right, Brandon, thank you so much. Take care as always, and we'll see you again.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Hey, let's welcome to the show, friend of the show, Scott Palm. Scott, who has been watching and listening and I believe agreeing with some of our assessments here tonight. Good to see you. And I believe you got a question.
Hello, everybody. This is a great episode. And it was right, sort of. Nobody got the proof Jenner's tech was a good thing. But here is what I think. First, I felt Stamets was being a little selfish when he heard he wasn't going to study the proof Jenner's tech. Locke didn't come back. What made this episode so great for me was when Michael mentioned infinite diversity in infinite combinations. That is one of the cornerstones of Star Trek. I can relate to Michael in a strange way. Like most people with CP, they are prone to pneumonia and die. I had pneumonia several times. One time in 2010, it was so bad that the ER doctor gave me 0 chance of survival. But I did survive. Somebody at the time said that there must be something that I was meant for here. I'm still waiting. Moving on, I agree with Admiral Burnham. It's about family. Lastly, I did not see my favorite time traveler, Daniel, coming, but I thought he died twice.
Nicely said, Scott. Thank you for that. Man, there's a lot to unpack there, a lot of thoughts. I kind of want to take it in reverse order. Holly, did Daniels die twice?
Yeah.
He did?
But he's a yes. Okay. That's why he says I've lived many lives. Like yes, he dies twice. Okay. Yes. But he's temporal prime directive doesn't apply to him. He can do whatever he wants.
Of course. Okay. All right. Scott agrees. All right. I missed some of that. I gotta say, as far as the message, and I think there are multiple here. I'm looking forward to that time on the regular mission log years from now when we get to circle back to what does it all mean for Discovery, because I feel like there are multiple, and that idea that you hit on, Scott, about the found family. There are families here, and I like that we get to see this hopefully very functional family of Michael and Book and their son 20 plus years in the future. But I like that they acknowledge the found family or the chosen family of their crew and others in Starfleet, because that is a thread throughout Star Trek, and I thought that fit very nicely. And of course, the Idic message, it's very front and center. I wondered, like, I kind of had to rewatch that scene a couple of times, because when Michael says, like, we have all the diversity we need, the machine worked, the tech worked, but I thought, well, wait, do you though? Are you kind of capping like an artificial limit on this?
Well, the progenitor said that they were alone in the cosmos and they were the only ones, and so I think more than one it would have even been enough.
But now they've got the galaxy and presumably the universe is just teeming with diverse life.
Right. So why do we need more?
Well, you never know. Maybe that tech will come in handy one day. And by the way, Earl says it perfectly. We don't have nearly enough Jeffrey Combs populating the multiverse. So, yeah, he's right. He's right. Was Stamets being a little selfish? See, I
understand from a scientific standpoint, is like he's truly a scientist and wants to study it, but
what if he need that? What if he need it one day? But this is all such great stuff to dig into, Scott. And yes, you are absolutely right about the progenitor's tech, that nobody got it. I think that's the safe thing, is as soon as somebody has it, well, again, look at what happened to the Genesis device. Even if the good guys have it, the bad guy might, and then there's going to be a problem. Scott, can't thank you enough for calling in. Any final thought or anything before we say goodnight? No?
Good to go. Thanks,
Pleasure
Scott.
to see you, and I hope we see you again soon, all right? Cheers. Take care, my friend. LLNP. All right. Let's, I tell you what, we have several more people lined up. We've got Mark in the queue next, and then we've got Cherie, Dave, Dr. Nani, and Alan. So let's do our quick mid-show break right now, right on time at the half-hour mark. I can't believe it.
Look at us.
I know, but I will just very quickly say, please, please, please join us at patreon.com/missionlog. Not only do you get early access to our shows and all the clever, sometimes not so clever, if I'm on it, banter that happens before the recordings, you get full access to that, as well as video of our regular weekly shows, including Mission Log and Genealogy. But that, most importantly, that is your entryway into the Mission Log Discord, and that community is absolutely thriving. 24/7, hang out with fellow fans, talk about the stuff that you are passionate about. It's not just Star Trek. We've got threads about Jerry Anderson. We got threads about real life science, about food, because that's my thing. And we've got live weekly video chats, very much like this, about everything from Babylon 5 to that week's mission log. Kon-Tiki is discussing like in-person, real-life events. We've got Disco in the Discord, which Heather Barker runs. Oh, no Disco this week. So coming back next week, maybe to do like a season recap, I hope. You can fill us in there on the chat. And very importantly, we have international chat Sunday mornings at 3 a.m. You will not find me there. We've got Twilight Zone chat Sunday evenings. And Heather says back next Wednesday. So Disco in the Discord back next Wednesday. Kon-Tiki has moved to Tuesday nights, by the way. And a new show in our weekly lineup, Bondatory, discussing all of the James Bond films in order. Get access to all of that at patreon.com/missionlog. And by the way, that was my very clever segue to welcome our next caller, Mark, who is the host of our Bondatory series in Discord. Mark, welcome to the show. What's on your mind about Disco tonight?
Well, thank you for that great segue. Couldn't have done it any better. I appreciate that.
Usually I have to rely on Norman, the king of segues, but here every now and then I have a moment.
I just wanted to share with Voyager reaching 100 episodes on Mission Log and the end of Discovery. I have brought it's a
Cake?
celebration. Yeah, it's chocolate from the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Company. That's
What?
cake flavored.
Nice.
So I brought it to celebrate. Everybody come hit me up later and we can share.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
But yeah, I'm going to eat that after I finish the call. But I just wanted to say, from my point, you harped on the Daniels thing, and I really thought it was neat to be able to have that for continuity, tying in that this is indeed the Prime universe and not some alternate universe, since we know Daniels has been there guiding things since Enterprise's time.
Right.
So
right.
it helps to show that, that things haven't veered off. Like some people thought maybe the Disco took place in an alternate universe, or kind of had a Calvin timeline split off and things like that, when some of the history didn't match up. So I was glad that they put that in there.
Good point.
And and especially since the Temporal Cold War, we still haven't gotten to see it, but by having him mentioning that and then having survive it, they could still do a Temporal Cold War TV show for Star Trek, which I think would be amazing.
I would be very confused every single episode.
I would love that.
It'd be lost then.
I would love it, but I would be like Janeway. I'd be like, this is some timey-wimey nonsense, and I need to go take an Advil.
Well, that's why they issue these.
Yeah, there you go. That
Oh.
fixes everything. Yes, the duct tape of the Whoniverse. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Mark, even right on time in the chat. It's called Doctor Who.
But yeah, and then also just to go on, I think another important thing that Star Trek sometimes does silently, and I think this episode does, is that it's not necessarily getting the reward and taking the technology like the preserver tech. It's actually the paths and the journey that you take to get there that is actually the journey and the truth that you get and how you can change it as each step does. Is we mentioned infinite diversity and infinite combinations, and I think each step of the way, a little bit, you see that in this season that the the various steps that have been taken throughout all of Discovery lead to this path. I think famously the best example is time travel to use this because it shows you how things go on, and I just think that, hopefully we'll get to see some of the ramifications of characters that they introduced in the end at maybe the Star Trek spin-off one, depending on how far they and I will note that Tilly is like just any good academic. She gets her tenure and keeps it because once you get your tenure, you can do whatever the heck you want and go and it's good to see that she does what any academic does, fights to get her tenure and keeps it.
Nicely said. Yes, yes. We have an academic on the list calling in, so we can verify that for sure.
Carlos is asking a question. Book mentioned Maul having a baby. No, not Maul. Molly, the
Molly,
trans worm.
Yeah.
The trans worm has a baby.
Yeah. Good clarification there. That was another one I had to rewind. Like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Molly. By the way, Mark, really quickly, as I am wont to do, to talk about one of my favorite Star Trek movies of all time, and that would be the motion picture. The message in this episode of Discovery really felt parallel to what I feel are the messages in the motion picture about people not looking externally for meaning, but rather finding their own meaning, looking inside and connecting that to the relationships that they have with the people around them. So that really hit home for me in this, and I felt like those two bookended very nicely. Not exactly the same and not exactly the same story, but I feel like the heart of it were very parallel. So thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, and if you've got one other thought, then share it, please. And
I just wanted to say the human journey is just beginning, to quote the end line of the motion picture.
Nice.
there
And
we
just
go.
before we go off, everybody tell me how much you want of your chocolate, your chocolate cake.
It's
Damn
so
it.
colorful.
Mark, I say you better. All right, there better be pictures in the Epicurean chat. I'm going to be over there, and now as soon as I leave the studio tonight, I'm going to have to go get some chocolate. So thank you for that.
My work here is done.
All right, take care,
Thanks, Mark.
Have a good one. All right, and let us go over to our next caller, Cherie. Cherie, welcome to the show. Hey there.
Hi.
How's it
Yeah.
calling from the disco void? I don't
Yes.
know if that necessarily has a name, but I like that. Yeah.
I figured for the finale, I'd go ahead and change it from Lower Decks, but from now on, it's going to be Lower Decks until they uncancel it.
There we
That
go.
is my protest.
Well, you saw the news today, right, about Skydance being confirmed with Paramount. I mean, I have zero inside information about that,
I
but
keep
immediately
hearing so much like back and forth about this company's going to buy Paramount. No, this company's going to buy Paramount.
Right. Well, the Skydance thing was approved, and
Okay.
now I immediately saw these comments online like, well, they better uncancel Lower Decks. They better,
They'll
So,
be my friend. I will like them then.
There you go. There you go. Well, what is on your mind about disco tonight?
Well, so one thing that really bothered me about Kovich being Agent Daniels and him saying, "Oh, I've got a job for Maul." Okay, do you, because she has shown herself to be super untrustworthy, do you want to give her access to time travel? How could she get locked back? I don't know.
Oh, that's actually a good point, because I was going to interject
yeah.
there and be like, wait, I mean, but we thought that Michael couldn't be trusted. But we thought that Book couldn't be trusted after his whole deal.
I
But
think Maul needs a lot more therapy before I believe that she's over the I'm going to get locked back.
now she can, I mean, you
time
know,
travel, you're going to give her access to time travel? She can totally get locked back that way.
Daniels died twice.
Uh-huh.
He's going for 3 times. I don't know. I don't know.
That is a good point. I didn't think of that. That like she has another tool at her disposal to get locked back. Yeah,
I will say
worst tool to give her access to.
but I will say this. I mean, Daniels might be that good. First of all, that he feels like it was almost like everything that he put Burnham through, not necessarily a test, but he understood that this was something that would kind of encourage her growth. So maybe there are enough parameters on a mission that Maul would also have a similar experience. But more importantly, I think Kovich Daniels understands the psychology enough to know, like, oh, okay, if she feels like there's enough of an upside in it for her, then that's the mission to send her on.
he might not. I mean, listen. No one aside from Burnham now knows that he's Daniels. And I'm sure that she would go then, if she didn't already know who that was, go look it up and figure out that he's, you know, temporal nonsense. But for Maul doesn't need to know that. And she also doesn't need to be put on anything. I mean, he didn't put Michael on anything that was time related. I mean, she accidentally went through time with the time bug, but he didn't specifically put her on anything temporal. Like that wasn't her job.
Sure,
that wasn't the mission.
Yeah, but
he doesn't need to put Maul on anything.
Yeah, but as soon as Maul figures out that he has access to time travel.
Do you think that Maul is capable of figuring that out for herself?
Unfortunately not. I wish she'd been a better villain.
Agreed.
So you make a good point. All he has to do is not tell her that he has access to time travel.
I mean, because Michael didn't know.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
She probably wouldn't figure it out. I actually I knew what they were talking about with the reveal, but it seemed really niche to me. I feel like somebody who really liked Enterprise made Discovery. And I like
Maybe
Enterprise,
so.
but there's a lot of Enterprise references. Although, why does Daniels not have any mementos from the original Enterprise? He had a bunch. He had them from the D, and he had them from
Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
But why not the original Enterprise?
I went back through that scene and I kept freeze framing because I kept well, surely he's got
maybe there's a Tribble.
Well, I felt surely, you know, Captain Archer is going to have like a polo ball or something in there, and I thought surely he would have that, not a stuffed Porthos. We don't know. We don't want to.
What if he had a taxidermy Porthos? I would have lost my mind.
No, volleyball. That was it. It was a volleyball. Yeah, I can remember.
Water polo.
Water polo, yeah.
It was water. It was polo. Okay, yeah, it was
water
polo.
polo.
Okay, right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was water polo. So it would have looked like a volleyball, but it would have been yellow instead of white.
Got it. Okay, all right.
That's the difference, apparently.
Yeah, I kept going through and looking for something that, was not there. So, too bad. Shree, any other thoughts tonight on the show?
I want justice for Fred.
You know what? Yeah, I can see Fred coming back. I think there is more Star Trek to be made. I want to see more Fred. I was intrigued by Fred, and I'm sorry that they took him away from you.
Maybe that's the red directive with Calypso.
Ooh, there we go.
I'll tell myself that.
By the way, I do feel like the red directive is Disco's get out of jail free card, and I think they need to not overplay that, because for as many questions as I had about Calypso, trying to tie that in, it's like all they have to do is hand wave and say, "Oh, no, red directive." I'm like, then why bring it up?
Yeah,
why?
I agree with you.
So
Yeah, I'd rather
but-
they'd left it a mystery.
Yeah. So, all right. Wait a minute. Mark says, let's start a change.org thing on getting more Fred. So, Cherie, talk to Mark. You guys set that up. All right. All right. Take care, and we'll see you again soon, okay?
Thanks. Good night.
Bye. See ya. All right. So, I'm told with a Porgosaurus, we have Dave. Dave, welcome. How's it going tonight?
A Porgosaurus.
See?
That's right. You can see right in there the Porgosaurus, the giant porg that I have.
Giant porg.
Yeah.
Now wait. Now is that to
up here with me.
scale? Are there porgs that big? Because I remember them being kind of like, say, yeah. But I guess like penguins, you could have them all over the place in terms of size.
Who knows? Yeah,
Okay.
they're small in the movie. We're switching franchises, but I won this giant one at Target, so it's been living with me ever
Well, you
since.
can bring in Zelensky and blow it up. Honey, I blew up the kid.
Oh, there you go.
Honey, I blew up the porg. See, there you go.
Porg.
Why not? Yeah, why not? Yeah, that could work out.
Well, Dave, switching over to the other Star franchise,
Exactly.
Star
Yeah.
Trek. Yes. What are you thinking
The
about
one we're here
our
for.
disco finale? Yes.
Well, I enjoyed all of it. I think there's actually a lot of questions in this one for me. Like a big one, all the Calypso stuff. I thought it was very interesting at the end that they took all that time to go and have Burnham fly the ship towards a short trek. I'm not sure why. How a couple of things. How does she know about craft at all? And secondarily, why would the Federation want that episode of Short Treks to happen to the point of giving up a ship for 1,000 years? You do see what I mean? Like, I guess it needs to happen, but it didn't feel, and I feel like we already addressed it. That's the third thing. So anyway, your thoughts on that? I see Holly has her hand up.
Yeah, please.
Well, now we're dealing with this temporal dude that probably knows that first of all, Burnham doesn't know what craft is because she's like, she says the name, but she says that she doesn't know if it's a person, if it's a ship, like she doesn't know what it is.
Do we know where she got that information at all?
Probably Kovich, Daniels.
Yeah.
Because he probably understands that from a temporal standpoint, if they don't put the ship out there for craft to find it in 1,000 years or whatever it is, that something terrible is going to happen. It'll wipe out the entire not human race, everybody. It'll wipe out, I don't know, something. I feel like the reason that is happening is because of Daniels and temporal stuff.
Interesting.
Right. By the way, so I had a note about that. So Burnham pilots Discovery way out to who knows where. And remember they mentioned taking the spore drive offline. So it seems like this is a long trip no matter what. Nobody else is on the ship. How does she get back?
Her son's going to come pick her up.
Okay.
In a shuttlecraft.
Okay,
I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to that.
Very fast shuttle. Okay, got it. Yeah, just wondering. That doesn't seem like much ado about, connecting a short trek. The Federation very invested making sure that short trek happens. Yeah.
Which I don't really get. I mean, nothing important happened out there that we saw, and the only reason that they're out there is because they went out there so that they could be out there. Do you see what I mean? Like it's not like other time travel plots.
No, I mean, it's
like
definitely it's definitely circular logic for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like there were a few writers in the writers' room or the producers or somebody that was really like dead set on not having Calypso be a question mark until the end of time for the fandom.
Interesting you bring that up, because I thought it already got addressed a few episodes ago. In the Time Bug episode, didn't she jump forward into a future in which the Breen had destroyed everything, and wasn't the Discovery sitting there all by itself? My assumption was that Calypso happened in that timeline.
But that is the timeline in which the Breen get a hold of the tech, and they didn't. Exactly. Nobody has it.
Yeah.
So it's a different timeline.
Right, but I mean, Calypso...
Listen, I gotta go taking a leave.
In that timeline. Yeah, I understand. It's timey-wimey. So that was my assumption when I saw that. I thought, oh, great, they took care of that. Now we're on from Calypso, which I enjoyed. But, I was surprised they spent the last 20 minutes of this episode on it. But I did like it. I really dug.
Same here.
That's John's criticism, too.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I really dug that Daniels was mentioned / is Cronenberg. I thought that was neat. I liked seeing Cisco's baseball. I was wondering what else is in there besides Jordy's visor. Did anyone else see? I guess nothing. The water polo ball would have been brilliant. You brought that up. I didn't see anything like that.
I really tried to find other stuff. I was even looking at the bottles behind
Chateau.
them.
What did we see? Chateau Picard.
Yeah, they started.
We saw Jordy's visor, and we saw a baseball, which is presumably Cisco's baseball, although I think it was a little bit too clean. And maybe it should have had signatures on it, but what do I know? And those are the three things that we got shots of that were clear. Did you see anything else, John, when you were?
No, I saw bottles of other things that
Was there a Sarin brandy?
I tried to find it, but it didn't look like one. There was kind of a long, skinny bottle, but it wasn't Sarin brandy. So
Joseph says he's got Picard's cadaver in the closet.
There were a lot of things in that room. And also I'm under the assumption that, you know how usually they meet in that just blank white room. I guess they've always been in his office, but she hasn't been able to see it. Now he's giving her the end. That's my assumption, that they were always in that room.
Maybe
comment on at one point.
He just had the lights
really
on.
like white or something like that.
Yeah, had the lights on really hot. Yeah.
I was under the impression she was finally in the inner circle enough to see what his office looks like.
Earl says that there should have been something from Pike's Enterprise in there. I 100% agree on that.
That would have been cool too.
That would have been awesome. Mark, we gotta. Sorry, David. We gotta take our next caller. So there are multiple Marks in the chat. We got a cadre of Marks. So take care till next time. And
till next time.
We'll see you then. All right.
See you then.
Dr. Nani, and I guess in the Star Trek tradition now, Captain Dr. Admiral Nani joining us.
Admiral? Yeah.
Everybody's an admiral. I'm telling you, it's Lake Wobegon. Every ship is called Enterprise. Everybody's a captain, and everybody gets promoted to admiral. And every child is above average. Like that's what it is. Now, don't you know? That's how it goes. So, Nani, what is on your mind tonight about the episode?
I can explain, at least I have a theory as to why Maul was stupid and tried to take Michael out.
Oh,
it's a psychology term. Yes.
Here we go. Excellent.
So the triangle thing, right? I wasn't looking at his geometry. I looked at it as problem solving. There's a whole area of psychology, actually part of my area falls under that. And so with problem solvings, we have like different biases that we approach things that kind of make it harder for us to solve problems. And so the one that Maul is stuck in is called mental set, which is kind of a weird phrase, I realize. But basically it means that you keep approaching something from the same perspective that's been successful for you in the past, even if you know that's not going to work this time.
Isn't that the definition of insanity?
Well, yes, that too.
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result?
Yes. But yeah, so they call it mental set. And so, I'm sure she's just done what she thought was right in the past and figured it works out. So she decided to ignore, the advice from Michael, who actually, had the clue and everything, and decided to just go and do her own thing, which of course did not result in anything good.
Is that kind of like that old folksy saying that to a hammer, every problem looks like a nail?
Yes. So technically, that's more of what we call functional fixedness, which is where you cannot see something beyond what the standard use is. So like one time my mom was trying to add sugar to her, or stir the sugar in her coffee at my place back when I was in grad school, and I had like 4 forks and 4 spoons and things like that. And so everything's like in the dishwasher. So she's like, I can't stir my coffee. So I opened up the drawer, pull out a knife and stir it. And she looked at me like I was nuts. But hey, I'm like, the sugar is mixed in, so it worked. Right. So, but that's functional fixedness.
By the way, thank you here real quick to BC, who totally got my reference, said this is all part of the Lake Wobegon cinematic universe. So all of you who got that, you just, keep expanding on that. That's excellent. See, this is why we need experts to call in, because that you can apply a psychological label to this. And was Mark right about tenure, by the way?
Well, yes. And the thing is, I mean, like on my campus, which admittedly is a smaller campus, I think there's maybe like 2 faculty in the whole time I've been here that kind of take their tenure for granted and really don't try hard and things like that. Most of us are still doing things despite the fact that like I have no more promotions left, but I still take things on and agree to doing things. And
because
so,
it's the
but
right thing to do. That's what Star Trek taught us.
Well, I feel like there's people that still take pride in their work, and some people that just don't.
And the thing that Saru did with the Primarch, that whole kick-ass action Saru thing, right? When he was not being scared, it sometimes helps to have someone who doesn't need like anybody else's approval to be able to like get things done. And so when you have tenure and they can't fire you, I've stood up to administrators who were taking advantage of things because I was like, no, you can't. It's like you're cutting all the student positions, but you're going to open some new international office. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is not the time, and I like ranted at administrators for like 15 minutes and didn't let them get a word in edgewise. And I could do that because they can't fire me. So I could stand up for students and other faculty, and it was okay because I didn't care if that woman was mad at me or not.
All right. There you go. There you go. Excellent. By the way, Mark in the chat says, thank you to Dr. Nani for helping add 10 points of intelligence to our character sheets tonight. Yes. So,
well,
very
you're
good.
welcome.
Very,
glad
very,
I could
very
help.
good. Yeah. Any other thoughts about tonight's episode that you want to share with us?
I like the little nod to Bones that Hugh did. The I'm a doctor, not a physicist. I love that.
Yes.
I started laughing. That was a great one.
And preceded it with, I know I'm a doctor, not a physicist, but it was just the perfect little spin on that. I wanted more of Culber's arc here, though, because I liked that we got him out there doing stuff, and I liked that he had a moment with Stamets, of course, but he had gone through this change earlier in the season, and we got to have these kind of profound discussions around his character. But now it's just like, well, I'm the guy who's going to go on the mission, and I'm going to feel really good about my dangerous decision because it'll work out. But I feel like I wanted more out of where he was going to land in all of this.
Yeah, I thought so too. But at the same time, I did kind of like that he kind of said you could have faith, and it doesn't have to be like in religion. It can just be faith in something that you don't understand. Which is really all that faith is right, believing something you don't understand. So I thought that was kind of cool that they did that because, it is Star Trek after all.
Yeah, very good. Very good. By the way, Carlos says Culber's arc resolves in season 6. Too soon, Carlos. Too soon. Dr. Nani, thank you as always. We're going to go to our next couple of callers, and we'll see you around, all right?
Have a good night.
Take care. Have a good one. Dave Taylor in the chat says, agreed, John. They set up Culber. They set up a Culber big change and kind of left it there. Perhaps there would have been more in a season 6. So
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Welcome, Alan from the Cerritos.
Yes.
How's it going tonight, Alan?
Yes.
What's up?
It's a lovely night, John and Holly. It's great to be here. And if we are in the last days of disco, then let's dance this last dance.
Nice. We got a little disco reference there from Admiral Burnham. That was cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who knows what kind of music they were playing at the wedding? So there's all sorts of possibilities there.
By the way, at the wedding, did I get this right that Vance approached Tarina and Saru, and did he call Saru Admiral? Because that
did he?
It appeared like that, and it was another one of those things where I rewound up. I'm like, wait, am I missing who he's addressing here? But I swear to you, the Admiral is just getting thrown around like everybody gets a participation trophy and it says Admiral on it.
Everyone's an Admiral.
Everyone's an Admiral.
You get an Admiral, and you get an Admiral,
Exactly.
and you get an Admiral.
Yeah, you get a ribbon and it says Admirable behavior on
Admirable Admiral. Yes. That sounds like a Gilbert and Sullivan phrase. So what else are you thinking about the show tonight?
I feel like I'm kind of in agreement with a lot of the points that have been brought up. Jumping back a little bit, to the progenitors and the resolution of that storyline. It was a little weird that it came down to one of those puzzles that you see on Facebook. Like 9 out of 10 humanoids are unable to complete this puzzle. Can you?
Right. Yep.
But
that's how it is.
Yeah, but I mean, let's it's the last episode. Got to make it snappy. Yeah,
it was triangles and not pentagons, though, or octagons or hexagons. Yeah.
Shout out, Chris. Yeah.
You probably should have made a hexagon.
Should have been hexagons. Yeah.
With glitter, because both mean the future.
The glitter hexagons. That's going to be a band name. Anybody can have that. You're welcome. It can be.
Where's Dayton Ward? Dayton Ward has a whole list.
We have a whole separate. We have the alternate universe separate list of band names. That is a Josie and the Pussycats tribute band. You can have that. So. Yep, you're welcome. By the way, people in the chat saying that, yes, Saru got promoted to Admiral, and Dr. Nani even left an article in there about that. Wow, so many admirals. Yeah, exactly. And then poor Harry Kim, Dave says, becomes an admiral at some point, posthumously, of course.
Oh, I love Harry Kim.
Yeah, sorry, Garrett. What else, Alan?
Just kind of going along those lines too. I agree that I think it would have been. I liked the message, and I liked the fact that it wasn't something that had occurred to me previously. Like I was fully expecting it to be some combination of this is too powerful, no one should be allowed to use it, or you're going to use it, but you're not going to get what you want. And we did get that a little bit, but I liked the take of, well, maybe we've just gone beyond the point where this is even worth using. You know, that was something that I think was kind of, I don't know, it just felt clever enough on its own to sort of like be like, yeah, this is kind of a good message to wrap up on. I do think that it would have been stronger if both Burnham and Maul had been in the room with the progenitor to sort of have that debate.
Yeah. See, I wanted Maul to learn, but I didn't get that moment. Yeah. So were you saying earlier, Alan, that that you've tried sometimes you just might find to get what you need?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's good. There's lessons everywhere you look.
Yes. All right, Alan. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap it up. We got one last caller. We'll just run a couple of minutes over here, and we'll see you next time. Okay.
Sounds good.
Take care, my friend.
Thanks, Alan.
Bye.
Yep. Talk to you later.
All right. Wrapping up our show tonight, it is Spencer. Spencer, welcome
in
to
Deep
the
Space
show.
Nine.
In DS9. That's fabulous.
My favorite show. Kind of had to cap it off at least with that. I could have selected all sorts of Lower Decks references, but I figured I owed it to myself. If I couldn't call in the last number of seasons for Discovery, I had to do it on the last episode of the last season.
Well, and you have your tie-in there to DS9 because we had Cisco's baseball. So
that's right. Yeah, there's a hot debate about whether or not that's the actual baseball or the one that was signed, and it was just the signatures were rubbed off. There's a hot debate in the chat about that.
It's so clean. It's like somebody
it is incredibly clean.
Bleached it.
But Daniels could have snagged one earlier. He could have gone at some point before that ball was signed.
The signatures are so cool though because Quark signs his name and he puts little ears on the cue.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that episode where the guy takes the desks and takes his picture behind the desks. There was anyway, this is the Discovery Chat, not DS9. I had a couple of quick notes. I know I'm last, so I'm gonna finish this up really, really quickly. The programmable matter suits right at the end were really interesting, but what's really interesting is how quickly can those come off. I think that could be very interesting in some planets and maybe in the Ferengi kind of.
Yeah.
So I had a similar thought to that, which is okay. And tell me if I'm getting this right. So she tapped the badge, which I think is also still the communicator, maybe
It's
not.
Presumably.
It's the easy button now. It's the Federation easy button.
It's
You
the-
just tap it and it does everything.
It's the easy button. All right. So you tap it and then the uniform comes on. Now, there are many, many times in Star Trek where somebody takes the badge and does something else with it. We saw in Voyager, they pulled a monofilament out of it. We've seen times that they get disrupted by some other energy or force around them. So possibly, like, if that thing ran out of battery, if you didn't charge it up overnight, then you could be on your mission and your uniform just disappears and you've got to go recharge your badge so you can have clothes on again.
Or it just goes halfway and it's like,
it just starts kind of, yeah. Do you want to put this in low power mode? And you do, and it's just like not good.
The other thought I had was, why couldn't the last, like, if Maul and Burnham showed up and they're about to do the puzzle and it's Calto.
Nice.
She is Vulcan. I mean, she is Vulcan, right? Who else would be better to solve that than somebody who grew up on Vulcan? So that would have been perfect.
Ooh. And that would have been a really nice tie-in, actually, to like give Calto some reason to exist.
Right.
Now, it might have leaned things a little too heavily like pro-Vulcan
Vulcan,
instead of just kind of
generically
progenitor, generically source of life as we know it. But I like that because it's a challenge. And I like that because that game has great importance on many levels for Vulcans. So
it would have taken forever, though. It would have taken forever.
But that would have been okay because didn't time kind of pause for Burnham when she was in there?
Time moves slower here.
Slower.
Yeah.
Slow enough to solve a Calto puzzle.
Yeah, right.
It's like blink of an eye.
And maybe, I mean, look, Burnham could have been really fast at it. That could have been something that she got good at when she was on Vulcan. And it would have tied back to Burnham's upbringing, which, let's face it, we just haven't addressed at all since season 2.
No, I'm still okay with it being triangles. Because that's a universally understood, like, geometry, mathematics, which is a universal language.
Yeah.
Like if they had something, if they had like maybe individual tests for whoever comes along, they're like, oh, they just know this person was on from Vulcan or whatever, raised on Vulcan, or in gave her that. But that's not what happened because she was given a clue to solve the puzzle. So presumably the puzzle is for anybody who comes along. Yeah. And it's mathematically universal.
And that inverted triangle thing made up of other triangles, that is I believe that's the inside of the Red Squadron patch from the original Battlestar Galactica. So if they had said, like, what patch, make the shape that's on Apollo or Starbucks patch, that she could have done that. It's a classic. Everybody would have watched it by the 32nd century. Come on. All right, Spencer, any other thoughts tonight before we wrap it up?
Just the last thought. I thought of the Iconians a lot through this.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how well that's gonna dive into this, and it's weird. The Iconians had a lot of power and through the portals and whatnot, and it felt like how far. I do wonder how close the progenitors and the Iconians were to each other in terms of time, because it felt like the Iconians were very, 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 very prehistoric to most cultures that we know of in the Federation. So it's kind of interesting, at least in that timeline, and we know so little about them. I'm sure if we had another 2 seasons of Discovery, they would solve that mystery as well. But it does make me wonder if there's going to be another movie that's going to be something along the lines with Daniels. I think somebody mentioned Section 31, but that whole tie-in, that whole thing with the infinity symbol was supposed to be, I think, the next season arc. So they
Yeah.
might have stuff already stock in footage, and maybe they cut something together and maybe fill something in. That could be interesting.
It is cool now that you could park Daniels wherever.
Anywhere.
Yeah. So I like that idea a lot. And that's really intriguing about the Iconians. I know that I criticized, I've criticized a lot of current Trek shows because of the kind of the haphazard use of references here and there, and it just literally everywhere. But there were things in this episode and in this arc that I felt really were earned and really paid off. Daniels being one of them. Had they worked in the Iconians somewhere, I think I would not have been mad at that either. So that's kind of an intriguing little thing to dangle out there.
The very last thing.
Yeah.
Since I'm one of the last callers, I want to toast you guys.
Oh, hey, cheers. I wish I could. I love that glass. I wish I could.
Cerritos.
It is.
My second favorite show.
Nice.
But I want to say congratulations on making it through your first series live.
Oh, thank you. Take care.
Congrats to you all.
Be good, Spencer. Have a good one. We'll see you around. All right. Take care. Holly, did you get to the important stuff tonight? I mean, we'll come back and we'll do a series or a season wrap up next week. But anything you want to hit about this final episode?
I think the last comment that I want to make, and it's something that was in my notes that didn't really get discussed, was how and I made this note twice for the last 2 episodes that I hope we get to meet Tahal, and I was disappointed.
Yep,
she doesn't seem that scary.
Yeah, no, I had a similar note as you, and I kept thinking that they were building that up because she had to be much more fearsome than the other Breen.
Than the rest, and you had Raynor talking about her, and I was like, God, I hope we get to meet her. I want to see how evil she is. And she was just like, ho hum, and turned around on the second.
Mark in the chat says, Tahu late. Yeah, I agree. I wish that we would have gotten more. I was so glad we got that scene with Saru, but
right, yeah. Doug was incredible in that scene, but I feel like that got that got wrapped up a bit too quickly, and she was not as fearsome as I imagined that she would be.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, with that, Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Technical production on Mission Log and Mission Log Live by the inextricable Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from Roddenberry Podcast. If you would like to support Mission Log, give us a look at patreon.com/Mission Log. Thank you again to my co-host this week, Holly Amos. Thank you to everyone who joined us live or later. We look forward to seeing you all for a Star Trek Discovery season wrap next week.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.